The Emperor's New Clothes. Long ago, there lived an emperor who was so fond of beautiful clothes that he spent all his fortune on them. His only concern when he inspected his troops or went for a stroll in the park was to show off his latest outfit. He had a different outfit for every hour of the day. In the town where the emperor's palace was, life was gay and happy, and every day new visitors arrived. One day, two swindlers came disguised as weavers. They told everyone that they could make the most marvelous cloth. Besides its beautiful pattern and color, this cloth had a magical quality of being invisible to anyone who was stupid or bad at their job. "This is marvelous," thought the emperor. "If I had robes cut from that material, I should know which of my counselors was unfit for his job and could sort out the clever ones from the stupid ones. They must weave some material for me." He gave the two swindlers a large sum of money and told them to start weaving immediately. The swindlers set up their loom and acted as if they were weaving, but the loom was quite empty. The fine silk and gold threads they demanded from the emperor were never used. Instead, they hid them in their knapsacks. The emperor was dying to know how they were getting on, but he was rather worried by the thought that incompetent or silly people were unable to see the cloth. Not that he was really worried that this would happen to him. Still, it might be better to send someone else to take a look at it first, just to be on the safe side. So, the emperor sent his prime minister to see the weavers. He was both wise and competent, and as fit for his office as any man is. The old man stepped into the room where the weavers were working and saw the empty loom. "Good gracious," he thought. "I can't see a thing."
"Oh no!"
But he was too clever to say so out loud. The swindlers asked him to come closer, to take a better look at the pattern and see the marvelous colors. But of course, the old man could see nothing, for there was nothing to see. "Does this mean that I am stupid and unfit for my job?" he thought. "I don't believe it. But all the same, I'd better not admit that I can't see the cloth." "Well, what do you think of it?" asked one of the swindlers. "It's very lovely," mumbled the prime minister. "What beautiful colors! What delicate and exquisite patterns! I will tell the emperor that I am very pleased with it." And that is what he did. The two swindlers continued to demand more money, silk and gold thread. They said it was for their weaving, but of course it all went into their knapsacks. Soon, the emperor sent another trusted counselor to see how the work was progressing. He looked and looked, but like the prime minister, he saw nothing. "This is very strange," he thought. "I know I am not stupid. I must be unfit for my job in some way. Since I certainly don't want to lose it, I'd better keep quiet about this. Don't you think this is a marvelous piece of material? Asked one of the swindlers. Yes, indeed it is, agreed the counselor. I've never seen anything like it. Everyone in the town was talking about the marvelous cloth, and at last the emperor decided to see it for himself while it was still on the loom. So, followed by many dignitaries, including the prime minister and his counselor, he went to visit the weavers. Isn't it magnificent? Asked the prime minister. Just look at the colors and the patterns, Your Majesty, said the counselor. What is the matter with me? Thought the emperor. I cannot see a thing. Could it be that I am a fool and that I am unfit to govern? This is terrible. And aloud he said, This is excellent, marvelous. I could not be more pleased with it. All the important men who had come with the emperor stared and stared, but they saw no more than he could see, and they said the same thing that he had said. Marvelous, quite marvelous. As for the two swindlers, they were given a medal for their magnificent work and the title Royal Knights of the Loom. The night before the procession, the two swindlers didn't sleep at all. They had 16 candles burning in the room where they worked. Everyone could see how busy they were. They pretended to take the cloth from the loom. They cut the air with their scissors and sewed with needles and invisible thread. And at last they announced, "The emperor's new clothes are ready." The emperor came with his courtiers. The swindlers lifted their arms as if they were holding something precious and said, "This is the robe. Here is the train. These are the trousers. They are all as light as a feather. It will feel almost as if Your Majesty had nothing on. That is their special virtue. Would Your Imperial Highness care to take off the clothes?" said the swindlers, "and try on the new ones in front of the mirror." The emperor did as he was asked. The two rogues acted as if they were dressing him, and he stood in front of the big mirror, admiring the clothes he couldn't see. The two gentlemen of the imperial bedchamber fumbled on the floor, trying to find the train which they were supposed to carry. They didn't dare to admit that they couldn't see anything, so they pretended to pick up the train and hold it in their hands, as if they were carrying it. The emperor walked in the procession under his canopy, and all the people of the town who had lined the streets or were looking down from their windows said that the emperor's new clothes were beautiful. What a magnificent robe! And the train! How the emperor's clothes suit him! Said the people. None of them was brave enough to admit that they couldn't see the emperor's clothes, for if anyone did, then he must be either stupid or unfit for his job. So everyone praised the new clothes as loudly and extravagantly as they could. Then, suddenly, in the middle of all this adulation, A little child cried out, "But he has nothing on!" And the people whispered to each other and repeated what the child had said. "He doesn't have anything on. There's a little child who says that he has nothing on. He has nothing on!" shouted all the people at last. The emperor shivered, for he knew perfectly well that it was true. But with great dignity he decided that the procession must go on, and he went on walking with his head high, and the two gentlemen of the imperial bedchamber went on carrying the train that wasn't there. It's absolutely true. It was evening. The sun went down, and the hens flew up to their perches in the hen house. One of them, a little white hen, sat preening her feathers, and one tiny white feather fell out and fluttered down to the ground. "There goes a feather," she sighed. "Well, they say a little thinning out improves the appearance. No doubt, the more I preen myself, the happier I'll be." She only said this in fun, but her neighbor heard it, and she couldn't resist mentioning it to the hen on the other side of her. "Did you hear that?" she clucked. "That silly hen thinks she will make herself more attractive by plucking out all her feathers." Now, right above this hen house, in a big tree, lived the owl family, and they overheard this conversation. "Good gracious!" hooted Mother Owl. "Have you ever heard anything like that? It's quite disgraceful. I must just tell my friend the owl across the way." And soon, Mother Owl and her neighbor were hooting together over the news. They passed it on to the bats, and they flew here, there, and everywhere, twittering about it. "A hen has plucked all her feathers out, and she's freezing to death," they squeaked. "In fact, some say she's already dead." By morning, the story, or something like it, had reached a rooster in a hen house on the other side of town, and he got up bright and early and crowed it out to the world. "Cock-a-doodle-doo! 5 hens have plucked out all their feathers to make themselves look beautiful, and they have all been frozen to death. It's a very serious loss to their owner, who was a very poor man." Eventually, a reporter heard the story and printed it in his newspaper in black and white. And so, you can see it must be absolutely true.